1900 R. The Last President by Ingersoll Lockwood. Chapter 7. This first year of the Silver administration was scarcely rounded up ere there began to be ugly rumors that the government was no longer able to hold the white metal at a parity with gold. "It is the work of Wall Street," cried the friends of the president, but wiser heads were shaken in contradiction, for they had watched the sowing of the wind of unreason, and knew only too well that the whirlwind of folly must be reaped in due season. The country had been literally submerged by a silver flood which had poured its argent waves into every nook and cranny of the republic, stimulating human endeavor to most unnatural and harmful vigor. Mad speculation stalked over the land. People sold what they should have clung to, and bought what they did not need. Manufacturers heaped up goods for which there was no demand, and farmers plowed where they had not drained, and drained where they were never fated to plow. The small dealer enlarged his business with more haste than judgment, and the widow drew her mite from the bank of savings to buy land on which she was destined never to set foot. The spirit of greed and gain lodged in every mind, and the common people, with a mad eagerness, loosened the strings of their leather purses to cast their hard-earned savings into wild schemes of profit. Every scrap and bit of the white metal that they could lay their hands upon, spoons hollowed by the touch of lips long since closed in death, and cups and tankards from which grandsires had drunken, were bundled away to the mints to be coined into people's dollars. At the very first rumor of the slipping away of this trusted coin from its parity with gold, there was a fearful awakening, like the start and the gasp of the miser who sees his hoarded treasure melting away from before his eyes, and he is not able to reach out and stay its going. Protest and expostulation first, then came groans and prayers from which there was an easy road to curses. The working man threw off his cap and apron to rush upon the public square and demand his rights. Mobs ran together, processions formed, deputations hurried off to Washington, not on foot like the Coxey army, but on the swift wings of the limited express. The common people were admitted to the bar of the House, their plaints patiently listened to, and reparation promised. Bills for increased revenue were hurriedly introduced, and new taxes were loaded upon the broad shoulders of the millionaires of the nation. Taxes on checks, taxes on certificates of incorporation, taxes on deeds and mortgages, taxes on pleasure yachts, taxes on private parks and placences, taxes on wills of all property above $5,000 in value, taxes on all gifts of realty for and in consideration of natural love and affection, taxes on all passage tickets to foreign lands, and double taxes on the estates of all absentees on and after the lapse of 6 months. There was a doubling up, too, of the tariff on all important luxuries. For, as was said on the floor of Congress, if the silks and satins of American looms and the wines and tobacco of native growth are not good enough for my Lord of Wall Street, let him pay the difference, and thank heaven that he can get them at that price. To quiet the murmurs of the good people of the land, additional millions were placed to the credit of the Department of Public Works and Harbors, and dredged out in 1 month only to fill up the next, and new systems of improvement of interstate waterways were entered upon on a scale of magnitude hitherto undreamt of. The commissioners for the distribution of public moneys to farmers so impoverished as to be unable to work their lands were kept busy in placing pepper loans where the need of them seemed to be the greatest, and to put a stop to the nefarious doings of money changers and traders in the misfortunes of the people. A statute was enacted to make it a felony punishable with imprisonment for life for any person or corporate body to buy and sell government bonds or public funds, or deal in them with a view to draw gain or profit from their rise and fall in value. But try never so hard, the government found itself powerless to check the slow but steady decline in value of the people's dollar. By midsummer it had fallen to 43 cents. And ere the fair Northland had wrapped itself like a scornful beauty in its autumn mantle of gold, the fondly trusted coin had sunk to exactly 1/3 of the value of the standard gold dollar. People carried baskets in their arms filled with the now discredited coin when they went abroad to pay a debt or to make purchase of the necessaries of life. Huge sacks of the white metal were flung at the door of the mortgagee when the discharge was sought for a few $1,000s. Men servants accompanied their mistresses upon shopping tours to carry the necessary funds, and leather pockets took the place of the old-time muslin ones, and male habiliments, lest the weight of the 15 coins required to make up a $5 gold piece should tear the thin stuff and spill a dollar at every step. All day long, in the large cities, huge trucks loaded with sacks of the coin rolled and rumbled over the pavement in the adjustment of the business balances of the day. The tradesman who called for his bill was met at the door with a coal shuttle or a nail keg filled with a needful amount, and on payday the working man took his eldest boy with him to tote the stuff home, while he carried the usual bundle of firewood. And strange to say, this dollar, once so believed by the common people, parted with its very nature of riches, and lay in heaps unnoticed and unheeded on shelf or table, until occasion arose to pay it out, which was done with a careless and contemptuous toss, as if it were the iron money of the ancient Spartans. And Holy Writ, for once at least, was disproven and discredited, for the thief showed not the slightest inclination to break in and steal where these treasures had been laid up on earth, although the discs of white metal might lie in full view on the table, like so many pewter platters or pieces of tinware. Men let debts run rather than call for them, and barter and exchange came into vogue again. The good housewife calling on her neighbor for a loan of flour or meal, promising to return the same in sugar or dried fruit whenever the need might arise. And still the once magic discs of silver slipped slowly and silently downward, and ever downward in value and good name, until it almost seemed as if the people hated the very name of silver.